My name is Petr. This is Dominik. And we are from the OME team, Open Microscope Environment team based in Dundee. Now, we have some setup to do, so Dominik should have approached you with a leaflet and credentials, and so it's quite important to do it so that you don't completely lose the track. But if you lose the track, I will show something for your entertainment anyway here. So, what is it and what are we doing? What is open microscope environment? Well, you are all familiar with the standard linear paradigm of the biological imaging, where you have some data, you have some application like ImageJ, and you work on those data, and then the results go to you. This workflow is very fine. It worked for decades, and what we are trying to come up with is an answer for questions like, what do I do if my data get bigger and bigger, which is nowadays, of course, very important. And bigger means not necessarily the size in gigabytes, but the heterogeneity and the complexity in regions like light sheet microscopy or super resolution microscopy. Now, we are introducing a new technology which basically binds together things which were not originally designed to talk to each other, and enables the scientists to go through more heterogeneous workflow with more bigger data, and allows the necessary image analysis applications to access those data, to store them and to collaborate with the colleagues, and so on and so on. We are basically I'm making a jump now between OME and OMERO, but forget it. If you are confused a little bit of what is happening here, there will be a talk. I will have a lightning talk tomorrow at 3:40. It's highlighted as talk by Jean-Marie Bourrel, but no such luck. This will be me because Jean-Marie couldn't come. And I will go through the things in a more theoretical level once more there. But just so that you know what is going on here is, in order to get the workflow facilitated, which I just highlighted, we have a server-client application. So OMERO is an image management platform. It's a part of the open microscopy environment, just like Bioformats is, which you should certainly have heard about. And the data are being stored on the server, which has a couple of advantages. Well, first of all, you can cooperate with your colleagues. You have more computational capacity to run your analytics on more complex data on the server compared with your laptop or desktop. And you can also extend OMERO on all levels. And you can use for that not only Java, but also Python, C++, MATLAB. So you have an API which allows you to extend it in this very flexible manner. And and the particular features of this data management applications you will see in a moment, hopefully, in the workshop. Now, we are in the ImageJ conference, so obviously I will go in the workshop also into what we have as an integration between ImageJ and OMERO. We have a plugin, an OMERO plugin for ImageJ, where you can basically get all the goodies of OMERO, access to the server using ImageJ as a client. You can, for example, open an image in ImageJ, just like here on the left-hand side. And from your desktop, threshold it, create using analyze particles function, fair number of regions of interest, and the associated image, the associated results table. And with 2 clicks, you can upload the image to the OMERO server, and with this workflow you can, for example, show your data to your boss. The upload will happen of the image to the server also with the associated ROIs, the regions of interest, and the results attached to it, so we will never lose them anymore. And you can, for example, publish the figure very quickly on using the OMERO Web application on the internet. Now let's go to the setup, because this will be the a little bit harder part. It's made easy. I said that OMERO is a server client application. We have a server, we call it tadpole. You can call it whatever you like, but in this case, this box we brought with us with our own network is called tadpole. The tadpole box is, the server is where, Dominik? It's just there. This is the small box which is on the table there. That's the server. That's all your data you have is on the server. Now each of you will have user name and password according to the small cards Dominik, the visit cards Dominik distributed, and you would have followed the workflow to get into the open microscopy network. This will kick you out of the normal internet. So if you can survive without internet for 1.5 hours, then I would ask you to go there and to connect to the open microscopy network. Then the question is, of course, next, did you download the two clients inside OMERO Insight and OMERO Insight plugin for ImageJ? You've got a question?
Yeah, I didn't know if other people ran into what we ran into, but it didn't seem like we could get to the website, the download site. So, but there is one, if you go to downloads.openmicroscopy.org,
Okay, forget it. What would I ask you to do if you didn't get there? Okay, just don't do anything. Don't go back to the normal internet. Do what I do. Okay, so open your browser and write an address into the URL going tadpole.openmicroscopy.org, please. Any browser. Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer, your choice. Okay, so this is, I'm opening a browser and writing tadpole.openmicroscopy.org. Can you see that? I'm hitting enter to go to the URL. You can't get there. Okay, then we have a problem.
All of a sudden, I was connected to a server, and then they said connection shut down.
Okay, so Dominik will have a look what's wrong with the tadpole. No, there's something wrong. And in the meantime, I will show you what we will have to do in the ImageJ setup. So right. So we have simply a plugin, and what is necessary to do is, if you could make sure the previous speaker encouraged you to update your Fiji. So if you go Fiji help about plugins and then bioformat plugins, if you have a look at there, it should show you that your bioformats plugins are release 5.1.3. If you can double check that you are there, but if you upgraded Fiji, that's where you are. Okay, that's what you need. This is the first Then if you happen to work with ImageJ only, then go to your plugins folder and you need file formats package jar. And once tadpole is up, you can download the bioformats package jar as well from the tadpole, as well as the OMERO Insight.
Guys, I think it's not tactile, I think it's the wireless that doesn't work, because nothing works.
So are you trying to log into this server here?
Yes.
And it's not accessing the internet? So you might have DNS issues. If tadpole.openmicroscopy.org, we can't access the DNS to map that to an IP for the local server.
But I also couldn't ping the IP, it's not saying.
If you know the IP of your server, we can enter it correctly.
Connected to where?
You can.
You are great. Okay. So what you need is
No, I mean, and I've already installed it.
you've installed everything.
I'm just saying.
Okay, so who is connected to the tadpole? Because I mean, can you refresh the page? Maybe you are
Yes.
not. You can refresh the page.
Yes.
So, yeah.
I can go between your different addresses.
Right. So it's not that bad. It's just probably the access to the downloads page of so many people at once is not the best idea at this moment. We are not normally providing downloads pages on our servers, which we distribute. This is just to get you around the fact that I kicked you out of the normal internet. So if you, yeah, but I can't go there myself, so that's a little bit right. So I think Dominik is trying to restart the server, or not. Yes, we should be there in a sec. So, and the second thing which you need to do after you downloaded the OMERO Insight plugin, this will go something like omero.insight-ij. You will put it into the plugins folder of your ImageJ. Then you also download the OMERO Insight, which is something else I will go through during the workshop. And
I'm sorry, but you said that initially if we have Fiji and updated the latest version, then we don't have to install anything.
you have to install the plugin.
I have to install it.
Yes, you have to install. So if you have Fiji,
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about one part,
Okay.
but there are three parts to the bargain. So you have to install the Inside ImageJ plugin and put it into the plugins folder of your Fiji, and you have to install the OMERO Insight and put it anywhere you like on your machine. Okay. 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 All right. So
I don't know what's wrong with the server,
So maybe could you go back? Could you simply connect back to the normal internet and try to download those applications from the internet? So the address to go to in the normal internet in the normal world is openmicroscopy.org, and then click on downloads, and there you download the plugins, the plugin and the OMERO Insight. Okay, and in the meantime, I will start my server here. If I do Okay, so sorry about that. What I'm doing now is to starting a server here on this laptop and show you the workflow so that you can see it at all. Yeah. And in the meantime, Dominik will somehow sort out this tadpole. Sorry, this has really never happened before, that it would just die at the best moment. Okay, here I go. So so I was saying that the OMERO is a platform and application where your images are sitting on a server. First step logically is you have to get the images onto the server. So normally what you start with is an import. So you put your credentials there. This will be the step which you will follow when tadpole is alive again. You put them into the OMERO inside, and then you might import some images. This is fairly easy. You just click on the importer icon, and then you select any images you might have. If you don't have any, it doesn't matter. There are some on the tadpole anyway. And you can select, you can create a new container for the images to be put into on the server or not. This is your choice. So I will just call this project pre-tadpole, and just before the tadpole is alive, and you click import. The images will be imported into the server in its original format, and they will be kept like that. So we never fiddle with your data. Once you put them on the server, they will be read using bioformats on the fly during the visualizing and managing actions, which I will show you in a moment. So this is not very interesting anymore. Of course, we are importing also all the metadata associated with the images. This is quite important. That's the one of the reasons for our existence, that we are storing the metadata with the image, and we are also storing not only the original metadata, but we are trying to read them according to our schema and put them into a small table which looks like this in the clients. If I, for example, go to an image, okay, this might be pretty. So the basic metadata are here in the right-hand pane. When I have imported the images, I have here a tree of containers. These are the ones which I was creating on import, and the new one is just just here somewhere. It's here. It's called pre-tadpol. Okay, this is the project. That's where my image went. These were two images. You can, of course, select the whole folder in the import and import the whole folder. Now, these are the metadata I was talking about. I have here a middle pane where there are thumbnails of the images. And the most basic, like, and important, like the type of the images, name, pixel size, and so on, are here. Further, there are attachments and tags which are quite important for the management. We are delivering two levels of hierarchy, the project and the data set under which are the images. Now, yeah? Okay, can you do something with the OMERO Web or not? Nothing at all? Okay.
So you should be able to connect with the inside lab tool.
Okay, let's do it. Just let's try. I will try with you. Aha. Okay. So I will go with you once more. Hopefully you somehow got to yeah. So please go to the normal internet, okay? Just like this. I am, for example, doing this. If you don't have the clients, if you have the clients, don't worry about anything I'm doing now. Who doesn't have the clients? Who doesn't have the ImageJ plugin yet on his machine now? Who doesn't have the OMERO Inside now? Just raise the hands properly so that I can see how many did this. Like 6 people. Okay. What you need to do is to go to Discovery Guest Network, just the normal internet. Once you do it, you go to a site called Open Microscopy, one word, openmicroscopy.org, and there click on downloads, and you will find those two items I'm talking about. Yeah? I will leave you to it. We just, let's go. So I'm going back to Open Microscopy because all the other guys have already everything installed. And we have to forget OMERO Web, unfortunately, for the second. For some reason, we are still having problems. And that's how the OMERO Inside looks like. So you just double-click on the application, as I'm doing here, and do what I was just doing, connecting to the other server. Is anybody completely lost about what we are doing? Right, so I have to exchange my server. Don't get phased by that, for obvious reasons. Yeah, so that's what you see. Your tree will be much shorter. Who you are is written here, so I call myself OME trainer here. And of course I pre-imported some data for you. That's why they are there. They are still on the tadpole, as I promised. And you can browse the data now. I said you can, of course, start a new import. If you missed it there, it's this button, the importer button, and create and import new data. Okay. So if you click on an image, let's go once more through the advantages which I hope you are waiting for to hear about. One of them is that because we are using bioformats, we are able to put next to each other images as differing as whole screen slides, a whole slide screen, fairly big image which has maybe 60,000 by 30,000 pixels, images which are not coming from microscopy but rather tomography, images from confocal microscope, images from classical microscope, fluorescent microscopy images, and yeah, you can see those very different types and file formats next to each other. What you are seeing there is not is actually your original file format. Why is it possible? Because we have the bioformats library and we read it on the fly. It's not that I have somehow changed this file, which has extension SVS, and it is really an SVS file. It's not that I have changed somehow this file, which is basically a DICOM file, if you happen to know that format. It's not that I have somehow changed this in OMERO. It's all, the SVS is SVS, DICOM is DICOM. It's not touchable. And everything, the original data, metadata are here as well, which were imported with the image. So for example, there is, there will be metadata like size of your lens, which we read and put into those tables. This will, of course, be still stored with the image. Now, you have a full viewer where you can see Z sections and T sections, if you have any, of course. You can do splits, projections. Certainly, okay. So now let's go to the managing side of things. I said that you can create some new tags and add them to the images. I did it before, and I can see the tags on the tags tab below here. You can organize your tags into tag sets, and this has the advantage that if you have a big data set, for example, this one, you can filter the images for a tag. So if I go right, if I go and filter the images, which I pre-tagged before with a tag, which is called anaphase, which is obviously here, you can organize your data in this manner, which is quite popular. The other advantage is that you can run batch actions on the images, meaning, for example, going back to preview, I can change the rendering settings, which is probably not surprising. So let's switch off the filtering here. I can, let's say, make the green channel much brighter, switch off the blue channel, switch off the red channel, and I can save it to all images. Save to all means what? Save to all means that these new rendering settings are going to be saved to all the images in this data set. I'm in a data set called SIRNI NOI. You can try it with the rudimentary data sets you have there. You have to create the new tags if you want the previous step, but this one you can certainly try even with those two images which are there, and then simply hit save to all. Now you can see that the rendering settings which I set for the one image will be propagated to all images. So say, for example, I have used fluorescent probe to look for my siRNA, and this is in a green channel, and I know that this will give me already a first taster of how my experiment looks like if I compare the three controls in the first row and then the other images here. Okay, so this would be one type of batch actions. The other type of batch actions would be a naming of channels. So for example, I can rename the channels which are coming from here. Now, I would like to draw your attention to the fact that, once more, that I'm not changing the original data, which are stored for you as they are. What I'm doing is to put on it another layer, which is helping you in OMERO to organize your images. So, for example, you would like to call this FITSI channel. Okay, and you can apply this change in the name of the channel to all the images. Now, if I go here to the other, mind you, I'm on the third image here. If I go to the first image, you can see that also the first image has the change, the FITSI change. So I can thus rename the channels and organize the data better for myself as I go in batch manner. So this was bound to happen. Okay, sorry about that. And now we have also out-of-the-house scripts. So I was mentioning the extensibility. The scripts are sitting on a server. We have actually an ongoing effort where we want to integrate ImageJ scripts so that they are running on the OMERO server directly. This is an effort started by Curtis, and it's a work in progress. But of course, in the meantime, we have our own out-of-the-box scripts, as you might expect, kymograph analysis, and so on. How that will look like is you have to imagine here an ImageJ, a menu item, and there will be all the scripts of ImageJ. This is still not ready to go, though. And you can run the scripts in the publishing scripts as well, using, for example, the script. Okay. From the menu here. Excellent. So this is the publishing menu. I mentioned the strength of OMERO is also in the fact that you can publish the data, or you can pseudo-publish them, meaning quickly give them into some format which you can show it to your boss. Very often the case for many scientists. So we have here a script called thumbnail figure, and you can create quickly a figure of the thumbnails which are of the images which are in the data set. Okay, figure is created, and you can do a couple of things. You can just go to the, you can download the attachment to your local machine and show it to your boss. You can view it, of course. Let's do that right now. And the other advantage of that script is that you can sort the images according to the tags. So you can spit them out according to the tags. Now, I think, how is it going to be better with the OMERO Web or never? Okay. Okay. Yeah. So let's go to the ImageJ workflow, and let's see what we can do if we have the OMERO for ImageJ plugin, and how we can use the client, the ImageJ as a client to connect to OMERO and work with the images on the server. Right. So if you open your ImageJ or Fiji, just to make sure that, so for example, for Fiji, what I had to do is to open the plugins folder. Okay. And put into this plugins folder this subfolder which looks like that. This is something you have from this is the plugin which you downloaded using this or that means. Yeah? Okay. And if I have image J, I have to do two things. So does everybody have Fiji, or do you want me to show the image J workflow as well? Who doesn't have Fiji and is lost and is desperate to try image J only? Nobody. Okay, so I assume that you are all fine. And okay. Right. Okay. Okay, let me start image J. In Fiji, you do exactly the same things as I'm doing here in image J, okay? And you can now connect to OMERO and open an image, but let me show you quickly the workflow I was showing to you, which was probably the most interesting for you. Suppose I have an image on my desktop. It's just nuclei. I will threshold the image. Then I will use analyze particles. Just use the default values there. It doesn't really matter for my purpose here. You can see that I am ending with some amount of regions of interest which are displayed on the image, and as well as the results table in image J. Probably no surprise for you. Now I would like to have this image in OMERO, and this is going already into breaking the linear workflow and going into something where I can store the metadata together with the image. Also the new metadata which I just created, of course. So I can go just save images to OMERO. And the plugin for OMERO plugin for image J opens. Looks remarkably like Insight. This is because more or less it is Insight running under the plugins of image J, and I will, in this simple manner, import the image to the server. Now the importer popped up automatically, so again I can create a new project, a dataset, if I want to be sure that I know where do I put the image. So this is so this is the workshop image for demo, and I can add the image in the current window, or I have just one at the moment, so let's go with that one. And in this manner, the image will be imported to OMERO with the regions of interest associated with the image, as well as the table of results which I showed you there, will be imported in the CSV format and attached as an attachment to this image on the OMERO server. So if you, as I'm sure you would as a scientist, get into modes, I don't know which data are belonging to which image, this is the answer to the question. Okay, so I just refreshed the tree here, and you saw that a new project popped up. This is the image I just imported. And you can see here that the image has 1,281 regions of interest. These are now OMERO regions. We transformed the image J regions into OMERO regions. You can also have a look at the results table, which is down here, which is now on the OMERO server. The table is now on the tadpole next to the image. It's not on my local machine. And I can view it in Excel, and there is my results. Of course, I can close Excel and so on and repeat the whole thing. Not having the ImageJ open at all, having just Insight or Web. Web normally works, it's just, I'm really sorry for this mess. Web works, excellent, excellent. So let's go to Web, and let's have the enjoyment of Web. Right. So if I go to OMERO Insight just quickly, so this is the workshop image for demo. I forgot one important thing. As I'm showing you the regions of interest, you can draw regions of interest in OMERO as well. You don't need ImageJ for that, but of course ImageJ has incomparably bigger power in the analysis tools you can use on those images. And that's why we are doing this connection and going into the effort of using ImageJ as a client, in fact. Now, you can go to OMERO Web and open an image in full viewer, and this is what you end up. This is basically an image which I have done previously. It will take a sec to upload these thousands of ROIs, obviously. So that's what you will end up with. That is quite risky because he restarted the server and I'm just clicking here around. But I'm lucky. Okay, so this is a pop-up from the OMERO Insight, and as I promised, these are the images you've drawn in ImageJ. Okay, and they are now in OMERO Insight as OMERO regions. So if you close ImageJ, you don't save anything more in ImageJ. The image is still saved on the OMERO server with the ROIs glued to it and the table as I shown you. And that's how you can access the ROIs. And you can now simply go to the plugin, and if you want to work with the regions of interest again and reopen the image from OMERO, that's no problem either. So you go and double click on the image and reopen it in ImageJ. So there is a round trip possible. Okay. Yeah. Let me clean up this mess. Okay. Right. So this is the image which I reopened now from OMERO. This is the image I saved to OMERO. So you saw that these OMERO regions, which I was showing you in Insight, which were previously ImageJ regions, I transferred them into OMERO regions. Now I'm reopening the image in ImageJ. The OMERO regions were transformed into ImageJ regions, and I can continue with my analysis after 3 weeks. After I've, of course, restarted the ImageJ and lost all my data on my local desktop, I still am able to continue my analysis on this stage. Yes, please. Can you please speak much louder?
Okay. Does OMERO log exactly what steps you're doing as you're doing it? Or?
That's a next step in our effort. No, not yet. We are trying to go in follow. So it's a problematic of image link and logging what scripts are doing. We are doing this logging in a very rudimentary way. So say, for example, you would run a script, an OMERO script, on an image in OMERO. The new image would have in the description a link to the original image saying, this projection was done from image ID 31, and this is the link how you click it. But this is still less than what you want. We will take, first of all, we will have to put into our model an image link as such, and or we will sort it out in other ways, but this is something what people ask for very much. What is the other idea which you might find interesting is to use the ImageJ recorder to do the job for us. and saved into OMERO everything what the recorder recorded as I was doing it right here. But this is still work in progress. I have not even a prototype to show you at the moment. So we are aware of this problematic, yeah. Okay. And right. So I was showing you the round trip. Yep. Good. So this is an image which OMERO knows already. I have to take care about what is in my ROI manager. So I don't know if you are going with me, but oh, the ROI manager is empty. Let me just be sure what I'm doing here, because this is just a mess. So I will clean it up. Okay. You can, of course, go in ImageJ, go to plugins, and connect to OMERO without having any image open whatsoever. This is, of course, possible. And now the plugin remembers already that I'm connected. And I can open an image which has some ROIs on it. It doesn't. Okay, let's make it to have some ROIs. Right. So we can draw some ROIs in OMERO. That's not particularly nice one, but that will do. And then have it here. I have here a counter which says that there is one ROI in OMERO, but I'm now in the ImageJ plugin. Okay, I'm switching between the OMERO, which is this sign here, and the ImageJ, which is obviously known to you, and the plugin is run under ImageJ. So now I'm in the plugin, and default behavior of the plugin when I'm clicking on the image is to open that image in ImageJ. So this is an image stored already on the server with one region drawn in OMERO, and I'm opening it in ImageJ. Okay, we are also doing a fairly good job of having the image, having the ROI on the right plane. So this is a feature which is some 6 months old, so we are still debugging it, but it's much better even now than the thing which I'm showing to you. Let him upload all the planes. Good. And you can see that the region is now recognized by ImageJ. This was an OMERO region, and I have it here. This is the rectangle I just drawn in OMERO. Now we are in ImageJ. Everything you do here, you can use the full power of ImageJ. If I draw another region in ImageJ or whatever, or a table, or create a table and add it to the ROI manager, I don't want this ROI to have there again, but I just want to add the new regions of the new region of interest to the ones which I already have in OMERO. I don't want to re-import the image, which is also possible, and yeah. So I will do it like this. I will simply go plugins, again OMERO, save ROIs to OMERO. And I can click the measurements, sorry. So let's cancel it. Let's do some measurements so that I have at least one line of measurements table. And then in ImageJ, go plugins, OMERO, save ROIs to OMERO. It enables me to click also on the measurements so that I don't have to bother twice. And of course I can save all the open windows with all the regions of interest and measurements to the appropriate images. And I go save. You saw that he didn't re-import the file, he just says results saved, which is to be read as results and the ROI was saved. So if I now refresh the image here, you can see that I have two regions of interest now. One I drawn in OMERO, then I opened an image in ImageJ just to have fun, and then drawn another region of interest in ImageJ. And this is now added to the same image. So this is what you remember you saw in ImageJ is now in OMERO on the very same image, which I just added there. And so on. I can, of course, go with those round trips immediately. Yes, please. I can't hear you, sorry. You cannot delete a region of interest in ImageJ in such a manner that OMERO would respect it. You can only add new regions of interest in ImageJ, but you can delete regions of interest in OMERO. So you can just... you lost your microphone. Yeah. You know. Okay. Sorry. So let's put him here. Maybe I will stop losing him.
Put it right in your pocket too.
Okay.
Probably easiest.
Thanks. So yeah, you can just delete the regions of interest here. And quite frankly, if you do get in the complete mess, you can delete all regions of the or re-import the image into OMERO again from ImageJ. That there is nothing stopping you there. Yes.
And along the same lines, when you mentioned or when you showed us how you could relabel the name of the channel.
Yes. Yes.
5.5 kids usually. And you said you're not overwriting any data, you're just adding.
Yes.
How would you look at the original metadata that was there versus what you added on top?
Okay, there is just a clear tab to that. So you can go, you know, let me show you that I took the ImageJ, sorry, the OMERO Web so short because of the technical problem we had here. I'm really sorry. It's just, yeah, just to make clear what is actually the server and what to think about that. A server is something you would have in your institution. It's not going to run on your laptop. It's not going to run because you overnight thought that you will have a server and you will use it. Yes, you can do it, but it has some cost to install a server. Server is for free as well. It's a software like anyone else, and you can find it on our downloads page. Now, the OMERO is taking lots of effort to be secure, robust, and sure in the sense that it will never lose your data. But of course, there must be some backups, and this will be usually taken care of your institutional IT department, which is ultimately responsible for such things. So you would have in your institute an OMERO server, and the system administrator will be responsible for backing up the data on and so on. If you decide to go such way, you will probably not buy a Mac Mini and put it there. The reason I'm doing this, what just failed so badly, once more apology, is that we are on the road and we just flew yesterday from Dundee. We could go the way which we tried just here in this city last year and try to connect to the server which is in Dundee. It goes fine, but with the workshop in 40 people, it's still not the best, because this is again not a workflow which you would normally do. But if you are in a hotel in Singapore and you just want to browse your own data, and you will probably be the only one who is going to bother in the hotel of Singapore to connect to OMERO, you will be pretty fine. So you can still do it, and you can still see your data in their original format with all the Z stacks, with all the T's in the things. I'm really sorry, I actually started to bubble and completely forgot your question.
Original metadata versus the new metadata.
Yeah, so there are two tabs. And let me show you to them. Let me show them to you, even good. So these are the data which we read, okay? These are the data which we consider the most important. That's why we are putting them into this first general pane. Then you have the acquisition pane, and you have two tabs here. First of all, the one which is called original metadata, that's the one we were asking for. These are untouched. And they are as they are. Okay, these are the original ones. But we don't actually change these ones either. We just read them and put them nicely into another tab so that you don't have to trawl through this. Yeah? So you can open the microscope tab, and the metadata are being read from the original ones only in a nice manner and respecting our model. So this is how you recognize them. Here is your microscope, your pinhole, and so on. Immersion, well, you can have that. The lens numerical aperture was there, so we read it. Yeah, no problem. That's how you get the overview. And once more, this is the original, and this is what we read. But we don't change these ones either. We don't change these ones either, as I said. But you can optically change them. So, for example, this is too silly a name, and I would like to call it test 1, which is much more intelligible. Or rather, let's say, I don't know, Peter's experiment on Sunday, and I saved the new name, and it's there, but the image is still called 438 CTR bracket whatever it was. The original file is called like that. So if you download the image now, and this is something I forgot to say, you are of course not just throwing the data into a black hole, you can still get back on them. So you can download those images, and you can download them singly. These are the files which are undermining the data you are seeing in OMERO. These are the files you gave me. These are the files you imported to OMERO. So you can, obviously these two images are complex, and there are a couple of files behind them. So you can download them singly, or you can make a zip. So I think that's a very important feature. You can also export the data as JPEG, PNG, or TIFF. This would, of course, not be the original data. Yeah? This is this button here, but there are these capabilities. And I was already mentioning the creating of small figures. Okay, how much time do we have? 30 minutes. Okay, so right. So we have an application which is something I would really like to show you yet, because we have time for that. As long as you don't have the image, the questions for the image J. As I said, I will tell something more. I already mentioned on the image J side the scripts, plugins running on the server itself. We have also promised in the program the micromanager. The micromanager demo is not going to happen now because the code is simply too frail, and I'm just not doing that. Okay, but if you want to know what is it about, you basically can. Let me clean up. You basically can combine micromanager and MATLAB and ImageJ, obviously, in such a manner that you can acquire the images using micromanager on your microscope and immediately store them in OMERO. Okay, this would be one part. And Balaji Ramalingam, which is a developer in our group in Dundee, draw it further, and he has plugins. These are basically MATLAB scripts which allow you to adjust the acquisition parameters as you go. As the images are coming into OMERO, you can see that they need, I don't know, more exposure, whatever. You can adjust it in the script and go once more, see them again in OMERO, which means you can, using OMERO Web, have actually the images in internet as you are acquiring them, which is, of course, which gives you much bigger power to adjust the acquisition as you go. Okay, but again, it's just not ready. I can show you just a couple of slides if I find them in this mess. Which is basically, this is the part I was showing to you, and we just went through that. These were the round trips with regions of interest. This is the OMERO acquisition. If you would like to go here, then you would have to be on the normal internet. So let's not click there. And this is basically storing the images into OMERO as you go using a simple plugin which he has written. And as the images are being shot, you can view them, let's say, in OMERO Web if you want to, in another location, so be it. And something which we call OMERO an intelligent acquisition, where you need MATLAB Micromanager and our own OMERO MATLAB toolbox. This is again coming back to the extensibility of OMERO using other languages. So we are working very hard also on the C++ at the moment. And MATLAB scripts. And here are a couple of, I can give you the presentation as well if you are interested, but probably you would like to speak to Balaji himself. Very easy to set up, at least not necessarily the MATLAB. What we are working at actually at the moment is you don't have to use the MATLAB to run the intelligent acquisition. You can do it in Java as well. In order to enable further development on this front, we are actually brushing up our utility package, which we call Java Gateway, which will make it easier to communicate with our Java API, and then create small, more lightweight components for the, let's say, ImageJ plugins, just like a tree viewer. You saw that our ImageJ plugin is basically a repetition of the quite heavyweight OMERO Insight. Now, a lot of things are simply bundled into OMERO Insight. We are basically taking the things away, putting them apart, decoupling them, so that any developer can basically take a part of OMERO Insight, just like the tree viewer, and have just the tree viewer in his plugin, which is connecting to the server and viewing the images and doing whatever he likes with them, because, of course, the image analysis demands are quite heterogeneous. And uses simply the tools which we have already, but we just need to partition them nicely and put them out. So that's what we are working on, and the OMERO Gateway will be out in the next major release of OMERO. Right, and so on. Let's skip this. There was now a nice schema. This is the one I was looking for. So I just mentioned the Micromanager and the OMERO IJ plugin, and the MATLAB part, which already exists in MATLAB. This is because Balaji loves MATLAB, but as I said, we will rather aim to make it possible for developers to write this part in Java. Okay. So, and now let me show you the OMERO figure. As I was mentioning, the advantages of OMERO are that you can cooperate with other people, you can publish things quickly, and you have the metadata and the extensions using the API. So I talked about the extensions already a lot. You actually saw the example of ImageJ. You saw the batch actions on the server. You didn't see much of the cooperation. Well, the cooperation is most easily demonstrated by this. We are actually all in one group, and you can see all the things I am showing you, not on the thing on the screen, but in OMERO Insight and in OMERO Web. How? Well, if you are now logged into Tadpole, you have here something which says OME-user-21. Okay. If you go now here, click on this icon saying Lab 1. Then go here, you will see more or less these members. This is a group which is called read annotate, and it does what it says on the box. So you can read and annotate my data or anybody's data which is belonging to the groups. We are all in the same group. So everybody can go there and just click on the OME trainer here. Just make sure that you're on the Lab 1 OME trainer, and you will see much more data. This will be my data. And every time when you are not sure whose data it is, you can check it just over here. Select just one image, and you can see that the owner is OME trainer 1. This is me. And of course, just to demonstrate what I was saying, I can go to OME user 10. These are not my data anymore. This is his data. You can see the proof here. This belongs to OME user 10. In this manner, of course, usually you would have a group where the boss, the PI, the scientific leader would be an owner of the group, and he has super privileges yet even to see the data of his of the people working for him in the group. You can have these cooperative groups, but you don't have to. So OMERO doesn't force you to show your data to anyone. Furthermore, by default, actually, the first group you would create would be a private group, and there is everybody on his own. But you can, if you are an administrator, you can transform the groups from private to read, annotate, or whatever tactics you choose as a group, as an institute, as whatever. And if you want to publish, you can transform the group to a public group, which would be then viewable, of course, via usually via OMERO Web to the whole world. Yeah? Of course, again, you would do it with reason, but in this manner, you can create a public repository. So this is the cooperation strength of OMERO. I also didn't show one thing. You can here have a if I go back to my data in the right group, okay. That's better. So I have prepared here the images which I was working on before. Okay. And you can see here an interesting thing. I was fiddling with the rendering settings, if you happen to remember, and made all the images in the dataset green. This was all actions on my images, and I didn't care about other people. What in fact is happening there as well is that OME user 1 viewed my image as well, and he saved his rendering settings on this image as he wants. He likes black and white, and these are his rendering settings, meaning he doesn't change my original data, obviously, this is taboo, but he doesn't change my rendering settings either. We have both a separate rendering settings set with which we are viewing the same image. So if he logs in as OME user 1 and goes and views this image, which belongs to OME trainer 1, he sees this image in black and white. I still see him in green. Okay. I can, of course, like his settings, I can take them like this, and then I say save to all, which will, of course, make this thumbnail gray. Well, why? Because when I say save to all, I like them so much that I'm making them mine. So I'm taking his pair of goggles and using them for my own forever. Okay, so let's do it. Right, so, but if I don't like it, I can undo one image, and I go save to all again. And I'm back to what I was before. So I don't have to go one by one with these 30 images and wonder if I would like them green or not. Okay, so this is another cooperation. So this is the cooperation covered. And once more to the publication, because when we are in web, we have a new application called OMERO Figure. So if you would like to play with that, then go, and whoever you are, you will have at least 2 images which look something like, yeah, which look quite nice. Let me just find them. Okay. Right. Okay, let's work with these ones. I mean, you have quite nice images as well, and try to choose colorful ones and the ones which have also multi-T, multi-Z. You can see how many Z sections or time points you have just right here. And if you do the first thing, what you do is you select one or several images, it doesn't matter, and then you click on this link. This is basically the link to the image. This is again an application, a publication feature on its own accord, because you can give this link to somebody whom you trust, and if this is a public group, they will directly be able to see the image. If this is a not public group, they will need the credentials to see your image, of course, but this is something which you could use to point people to your images as well. This is another way how you can publicize your image. But what we are using this feature for now is to open this application called Figure. I click on that, a new tab will open. I will go and say create new figure, not with the right click though. And I paste the link to the images there. And I have the images in the OMERO figure. Well, OMERO figure, as the name says, is aiming to create a publication quality figure with legend, but mainly with labels, scale bars, and yeah. So let's say I would like to have these two images, and I will have to add one more, which I take from here, the third one. Add the link because I forgot. Add the link there. Right. Now I can select those images. I can align them to grid. All right. Yeah, for some reason, align with an 8. Okay, that's better. And I will align them to grid once more. Yeah. Now I can copy the whole row, and let's say the first one would be my red channel, the second my blue channel, and the third is a merge. So I can go here and do it like that. So this would be a red channel, and I will switch off the other channels. I will make this one a blue channel, and this is a merge. Now let's add some labels to this rudimentary figure. So if I go, let's say, and select the top row, I can add labels in such a manner that I will take it from the channel names. I will add it. Okay, that was silly. Right. 24. Okay. Okay, you can see that the names were added. They are simply taken from OMERO, and I can now add the vertical labels as well. Let's say that this would be control, and this would be I don't know, SIRNA 17. Okay. So I have changed the labels so that I have the channels, I have the merge, I have the control, and the siRNA experiment. I have a scale bar here which I can change. Why do I have the scale bar? Because the calibration of the image in OMERO was taken into account. So, yeah, it wasn't, but okay, I can simply calibrate it now. So this would be, let's say 0.4. Okay, and then I can make it bigger. Yeah, sorry. The scale bar is actually here. I got thrown off that there is something on the image which looks like a scale bar from the previous, from before, which I don't know where it comes from. But the scale bar is now there, and that's how it came to life. Because there was no calibration of the image in OMERO, I just put some pixel size here because I know how it's calibrated now as I'm doing the figure. I put the numbers there, and then I said, put the scale bar there. Of course, you can put the scale bar wherever you like, and also put the label on it, which says how much it is. You can zoom out or zoom in out of the image to create oh, well, that's not very interesting. But as I was doing it, I was actually going, let's say, to here, onto this feature. And this can be your zoomed image because you can always copy the original and paste it underneath. And then go back with the zoom as it was. So this would be your zoom, this would be the original image. And so on. You can rotate the zoomed image so that it's nicely arranged. Okay. Just a little bit. Right. Okay, it's not the best figure I've ever done, but I think concerning the circumstances, this will do. Now, if I have such figure, I can also crop the regions. I forgot the next step of Will Moore, who is the developer of this application, is to be able to draw regions of interest even on the figure. That's what people want the most, to put the text labels, to make an arrow to a cell in the image. I showed you already, you can make a zoom of it, but you still want to point the pointer to it, and you want to have it in your original figure. So that's his next step. He's got already a PR open for that. And once you are happy with that, you can have a legend for the figure here. You can have a multi-paginated figure as well if you want so. And let's have a look. What can you do in order to get the figure out because you want to publish somewhere? So you can export it as PDF with images, or as a TIFF. You can manipulate the DPI, which is very important for the demands of the journals. And you can again have all the images which are there. Now the figure is ready to go for me here. As I was talking, he was creating the PDF. I will download the figure to my laptop. Now, so if I open the figure, this is now local already. This is what I created. This is the scale bar. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. The workflow. Yeah, and what is very important on the second page, the PDF was created like this. The first page is the figure which I really want to send to my journal now. The second page is something what the scientist does forever. He forgets where the original image was which he used on the figure. So that's where you get this handy. When you click on that and you log in, that's the image. That's where the figure was done from. So that's the link to it from the PDF. So obviously the workflow is you send it to the journal, and the reviewer says you have to exchange this image, or you have to give me a bigger zoom. Then you obviously don't know anymore what image was that. So that's how you get to that. Okay. The figure as well is actually here on the image. So you can go the other way. You know that this image is in the figure, but you don't know if you publicize it already. So that's where the attachment is, which strongly hints to that fact that you probably already created a PDF and you should think what you've done with the PDF. So that's the OMERO figure. I think I told you what I wanted, and I will be happy to take questions. As I say, there is one more talk, lightning talk tomorrow at 3:40, so happy to see you there. Yes. Yes.
You know that the original metadata, you know that there's an error. For example, if you have an objective in the wrong position and the wrong metadata was reported, is it possible to correct that, or are you always?
Yeah, well, no. There was, the thing is, why not? Because you heard the previous question already. It's about the fine line between being reliable and robust and secure, and between allowing everything. So you have to, we simply went rather this way because the strong voice of the people, we want our data untouched, is really strong. And they have a very good point. So for example, we made a lot of effort to make it really so that the data are in its original format, and you can, even without OMERO, go there and the file will be there exactly as it was. Meaning everything goes pear-shaped, the whole OMERO server goes down and you will never recover it. The whole DB, God forbid, it doesn't happen. But you know, people are worried about that. If your IT manager, if your system administrator did his basic backups and he backed up the original data, the data are still there and are still readable in the original files with the using the original software as they were there when they were coming to OMERO. So they are untouched. So you have the original data still stored, whatever OMERO does or does not. So that's the philosophy. Yeah. You had a question.
I think you're mobile now.
Thank you.
The scalability, magnitude, what kind of experience do you have in terms of data size, number of images, size, management, that kind of thing?
Okay, so we have quite a bit of experience. So we have our highlight point, so-called big fish. This is a micrograph of, do you know how many thousands of pixels this have? Okay, so 120 gigapixels, did you say? Yeah, yeah. So this would be for one image, but we have already there. Right. There are two things to show. To mention the high throughput screening, which we have some support here as well for. So if you go here, Okay, so this is your plate with wells, right? It behaves like a normal image. Now this is this has been brought to another level in the JCB data viewer. Basically, JCB is a journal of cell biology, which uses OMERO for publishing the data, which and the commercial part of this open source project, Glencoe Software, has customized the OMERO for them, so that they can basically publish these humongous screens of. Again, I can't tell you the biggest screen they have, but it's really scalable. That's probably the point I want to make. If you want to see JCB Data Viewer, just go to. I will have to. You have to give me 2 seconds to retrieve it. Maybe it's okay. Let's see what comes, because this is something I've shown to somebody already. I have here some metadata as well.
You might be still in the local.
Yeah, I am. Thank you very much. Yeah, that will be my downfall. Okay, so let's leave Tadpole now in peace and try to get to a normal. Normal internet, and I'm being welcomed, and that's it. Right. Right. Okay. So there are also other institutes like Stowers Institute who uses the OMERO for storing the data they are publishing. So we have really, we have also a new project called an IDR project, where we're actually aiming to create a big data repository out of OMERO. So OMERO is designed to deal with both the amount of images and their size. And I was actually mentioning the 64,000 pixels image for digital pathology. This is also used in a teaching application called virtual microscope. This is fairly big image per se as well, and you need also the performance in the sense that many people are clicking around on that at the same time. So this is also possible to extend it in this sense. Right, so this is one example of JCB Data Viewer, and it's not the best. But let me go to the metadata. Right. Right, so the JCB Data Viewer looks more or less like this. You've got sophisticated connections between the vast metadata the HCS people are producing in a graphical form, and between the points in the graphs and the particular wells from which the points were taken. So this is, again, the data are big, but they are also heterogeneous. So that's all what OMERO is about. Let me just... So this is the full viewer. Now, that will be the chart, okay? So these are probably the genes which were identified using that screen. If I now select something here, and this is the thumbnail of the image from which this information was taken. Okay, if I select something else, a new thumbnail will come up. I mean, this is probably not the fastest internet you can imagine, but it does its job. Okay, so 2 more. So that's... Any more questions? Yes, please.
You mentioned earlier about a C++ version of file format.
Yes, yes. So the best proxy is if I can ask Melissa to answer the question. I mean, just grab her and ask her the question. She's a much better person for the C++. The C++ exists and thrives. The name of the developer who is doing it really hard, 100%, is Roger Lee, and I can get you in contact with him. But Melissa is kind of most aware about this part. I mean, yeah, it would be much better to talk to her. Okay. So if no more questions, I thank you very much for your attention and maybe see you tomorrow.